I work as a photographer for a small private company. I received an order from a magazine to shoot an elderly woman, and the payment was promising. I was satisfied with the offer and started looking for a model. I went through all the women I knew in my mind, but none of them were suitable. They were all younger than they needed to be. What to do? I talked to my wife, Claire. There are options, she said. How about my mom, Linda? She's getting old and ready to make money. What kind of shoot? Asked Claire. In beautiful lingerie, I replied. Claire thought about it for a while too. We started discussing options together. Posting ads didn't seem like a good idea. I didn't want to get a lot of women that I'd have a hard time screening out. I sat there thinking until Claire slapped herself on the forehead and said, I'm an idiot. I have a mom, Linda. How could I have forgotten about her? Especially since she is definitely suitable for the role of a model, a great figure, not overweight, retired, and her legs are still slim. That's important for lingerie shoots. Plus, she looks after herself. She has a beautiful face. Do you think she'll say yes? I asked. Claire called her mom and briefly explained what was required of her. Linda thought for a few minutes and agreed. I was thrilled and arranged to meet her at the studio. What should I bring with me? Asked Linda. Just shave your legs and wash up. That's enough, I replied, grinning. She grinned. I always keep my legs shaved. I'm ready. That evening, Linda came into the studio looking fantastic haircut, manicure, the whole deal. I'm not even talking about her legs. I could finally appreciate her figure. She walked behind the curtain where her clothes were already prepared and began to dress. I sat quietly by the camera, doing my job adjusting the lighting, setting the background. Then Linda came out from behind the screen, and I whistled. She looked gorgeous. In regular clothes, she's an average woman in her 50s, but in lingerie, wow. She noticed my reaction and started to flirt a little. How do I look? She asked, assuming a playful pose. I swallowed hard. Wait a minute, I said. Let's get started and you can get comfortable in front of the camera. Walk back and forth. Relax so the shots come out natural. Linda started walking, her heels clicking from the previous shoot. She moved with such grace that I thought she could very well be a professional model. I took a couple shots and then asked her to sit on the table and lean against it. Linda followed my instructions flawlessly, and I felt myself starting to worry the tension was palpable. She noticed it and blushed, looking at me expectantly. Let's see where this goes, I thought, putting the camera aside. I walked over to her, and things got raucous and passionate. That's what I call a photo shoot. When we reconvened, Linda asked if there would be more sessions. I explained that the shoot would last 3 days. Then we would select the best shots, process them, and send them to the client. Linda smiled and hid behind a screen while I finished the job. When I got home, Claire asked, "How's the modeling going?" Instead of answering, I showed her some pictures. Claire shook her head in surprise. Wow, I didn't know my mom was so hot, she said. The next day, Linda came relaxed, as if she had been doing this for years. The new lingerie was even sexier, with lace and garters. She took different poses, and I took pictures, but of course I couldn't help myself, and Linda didn't mind taking a break. We had one more day left, the third. Claire was no longer interested in the process, saying she would wait for the final result. On the third day, Linda came in, and the shoot went great. Everything was perfect. It's been a long time since I've felt that way. Afterward, as I sat editing the photos, Claire looked over my shoulder, impressed. Let's hire her on staff, she suggested, for group shoots when we need a mature model next to the young ones. The idea sounded great to me. Claire talked to Linda herself. I stayed out of it so my interest wasn't obvious. Linda readily agreed, saying, "Why not? I have nothing else to do in retirement, and this could be fun." And it was fun. Linda started working with us, and the orders started pouring in clothing ads, food photography, and even some personal projects when the studio was empty. It wasn't every day, But when we were in the mood, we even had a bottle of bubbly saved in a secluded corner. Linda was making good progress. Her pictures were getting better each time, good enough for an exhibition. Claire suspected nothing, and everything was fine at home. Linda was like the cherry on top, something I couldn't resist. And when she suggested a bathtub shoot in the studio, I winked, liking the idea. "It's warmer in there," she said, "and we won't get cold." How had I not thought of that before? I was already anticipating the adventure, envisioning a bathtub filled with bubbles. On the day of the bathroom shoot, Linda came in with a mischievous smile. She brought scented candles and rose petals, wanting to create the perfect atmosphere. I couldn't help but admire her enthusiasm. It was infectious. We set up a bathtub in the middle of the studio, filling it with warm water and plenty of bubble bath. Linda undressed behind a screen, and when she came out, she looked absolutely stunning, dressed in a robe. She stepped into the water, letting the bubbles cover her, and I started taking pictures. Linda posed naturally, her expression changing from playful to sultry, and the candles cast a warm glow on her skin. The pictures turned out beautifully, and I was mesmerized by her. After a while, Linda threw me a look that spoke volumes, and we both realized what was going to happen next. I put the camera away, and we let the moment take over. The warmth of the water only intensified the passion between us. Linda laughed softly afterward, leaning back against the back of the tub, her eyes sparkling. "That was definitely worth it," she said. I smiled, agreeing wholeheartedly. The rest of the shoot took place in a more relaxed setting, with Linda lying in the water and playfully blowing bubbles. The photos turned out nice and professional at the same time, and I knew they would be some of the best shots I'd ever taken. The next few weeks were busy. We had several more shoots, some for clients and others just for fun. Linda really became a part of our team, and her confidence grew with each session. She even started coming up with ideas for shoots, one in a field of wildflowers, another in an elegant evening gown at sunset. Her creativity was inspiring, and I enjoyed every moment of working with her. Claire continued to support me, often commenting on how well the photos turned out. She had no idea of the bond that had developed between Linda and I intended to keep it alive. My relationship with Claire remained strong, but what I had with Linda was different, an unspoken understanding, an awe that was impossible to ignore. One day, after a particularly successful shoot, Linda and I sat in the studio with a bottle of wine. We talked about everything life, her retirement, the excitement she felt about modeling. She confessed that she hadn't felt so alive in years, and I felt the same way. There was something liberating about these moments we shared, something that transcended the camera and photos. As the sun set outside the window and the studio flooded with soft orange light, Linda looked at me and smiled. "I never thought retirement would be like this," she said. I raised my glass to her. "Here's to unexpected adventures," I replied, and we both laughed. The bathroom shoot was one of the many unique projects we worked on together. Each time Linda stepped in front of the camera, she brought an elegance and boldness to the image that I admired. She became more than just a model. She was a muse, and each session felt like a new chapter in an unfolding story. Days turned into weeks, and we had more and more projects. Linda even started collaborating with young models, and her energy seemed to inspire everyone around her. She was no longer just a retired woman looking for something to occupy her time. She had become an integral part of the studio, and I could no longer imagine it without her. The thrill of our secret kept the boredom at bay. Every stolen glance, every barely perceptible touch, when no one else could see it, was all part of the dance we had created. And as long as Claire remained in the dark, I saw no reason to stop it. It was risky, but the reward was worth it. Linda was worth it. And so our adventure continued, one photo shoot after another, one shared secret after another, and we always looked forward to what was next.